All right. Hello, everyone, and we are back in 2025, and welcome you to our today's session. It's a pleasure to have each of you joining us from different parts of the world. This is Arash Aghajani. I'm Microsoft MVP and community leader from Vancouver, Canada. I'm also uh, architect in the Power Platform area, actually, with focus on the Power Apps, Power Automate, and Power Pages. So thank you so much for joining us today. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our community and what's happened in the 2024 for this community, and recap the 2024. So it was amazing contribution in the 2024 from our speakers or attendees and everyone that help us grow this community in the uh, 2024. So we had actually we got over 700 dedicated followers on LinkedIn, 2,300 members in Microsoft Learning Room or Learning Room, the Power Platform Learner to Leader, 30 plus insightful online sessions conducted since April 2024, and we had 200 and more than 200 attendees in our online session totally in 2024. And thank you uh, so much, everyone, for your contribution in the last year and being part of this community. We hope you learned and we hope you learn more from this community and our online session and level up your skills in Power Platform. It was amazing contribution in 2024. Thank you so much. So without any delay, I'm going to jump to our calendar for this month, the February 2025, and kick off our session. So we line up for speakers for this month. We have four outstanding speakers: Lukas, Neil, Somya, and Norm. They are going to share their knowledge and experience around the Power Platform. Today we have special speakers and a special guest, Lukas Cervenan. He is a process intelligence implementation lead in Vancouver, and his topic is amazing for the Power Automate enthusiasts. Actually, it's the best practices implementing Power Automate process mining. So I hope you get actually valuable insight from this session today, and level up your skill as well in the Power Automate. So let me quickly introduce a little bit about the Microsoft Learn community and the learning room. Uh, the Microsoft Learn community offers various ways for learners to connect with peers and experts to enhance their expertise and achieve career goals. It includes the Microsoft Learn Hub for updates and discussion, and learning room for direct engagement on specific topics. You can access the community through this link for more information and to join. So as you see here, aka.ms/Microsoft Learn community is the direct link to the Microsoft Learn community resources. And also Power Platform Learner to Leader is one of the Microsoft Learning Room, which has more than 2,300 members. We are sharing the latest information about Power Platform in our learning room, and also conduct this series of session every Saturday for Power Platform enthusiasts. So if you are not a member of this community, you can join through this link, aka.ms/join PPLTL. And the last but not least slide here is the code of conduct. As ever, Microsoft aims to empower everyone globally through knowledge sharing and event, ensuring a respectful and inclusive environment for all. Harassment or degrading behavior is not tolerated, and everyone is responsible for upholding this standard. The code of conduct encourages awareness, friendliness, respect, openness, understanding, and kindness. Before we begin, a few important notes. If you have any question during the presentation, feel free to put it in the chat box, and we will have a dedicated Q&A session toward at the end. And the session is being recorded for those who couldn't join us live, and will be shortly available in the Power Platform Learner to Leader YouTube channel. So perfect. That's it at my end. I'm going to hand over this to the Lukas and invite Lukas to the session. Hello.
Hello, good day,
How are you
everyone.
today?
Very good, very good. Thanks. How
Good.
are you?
Good. Good. Nice to meet you, Lukas. It's the first time that we have you in our uh, online session. So thank you for your time and joining us today. Can you please share your screen and start
Yes,
introducing yourself and uh, your session?
I started sharing the screen. Could you please confirm that you see it?
Sure, sure. Give me a second. Okay, okay. Go ahead. The stage on yours, and you can start your session.
Okay, thank you. So, hello again. Good day, everyone. Thank you, Arash, for the opportunity to speak. It is
Uh,
my pleasure to be here. The aim of this session is to share with you some practical tips and tricks how you can implement Power Automate process mining efficiently. My name is Lukas. I'm based in Vancouver area and my background is in process improvements. I'm currently delivering them for various customers in IT consulting company. Without further ado, I would like to go directly to the topic. If there is one key piece of information that you will take away with you today, it is focus on the goal. It may sound very easy, but the reality is when we will be doing process mining projects, or maybe when you are doing process mining projects, it often happens, and it also happened to me, that sometimes I do not see the forest due to the trees. In this situation, it makes sense to stop what you are doing, pause, zoom out a little bit, get back to the roots, get back to the original definition of why we are here, and start from there. It sounds as a very easy principle, but is often forgotten. And if you keep this in mind, it will make your life easier when you will be implementing these practices. When we are talking about process improvements, of course, it's not a new thing. When we want to improve processes, we don't want to reinvent the wheel again if it was reinvented, especially when we are working with advanced technologies like Power Automate process mining. That's why the way how to do it, how to work with Power Automate process mining, how to deliver the value with this tool is to leverage the DMAG methodology. This is, those of you who are familiar with Lean Six Sigma practices, this is exactly it. DMAG stands for define, measure, analyze, improve, and control. And to put this into the Microsoft portfolio or Microsoft ecosystem, what we are trying to do in this or with this DMAG methodology is that, of course, at the beginning, we define what is the process we want to address, what are the problems, what are the goals. It's important to mention at this part that for the define phase, we are not talking about whether to introduce process mining or maybe use some other tool or some other technology. Let's say all of these prerequisites and work was already done. Right now, we are already in the discussion of, okay, this is our process A that we want to optimize, we want to improve by using this technology. And we define specifically what are the problems we are trying to address and all of the goals. For the measure phase, it's, to put in a simple way, get the data in a shape that we need it to perform process mining. We will go through more details a bit later on. Next phase is analyze. This one is basically analyzing our process, how it look like, what we can do, and so on. The main core of this presentation would be around these three phases, and mainly on the analyze, where we will jump into the tool and I will share with you some further practical tips. And then there are the two other phases, which are improve and control. I don't want to say like they are equally important. They are, I would say, even more important because this is where we generate the value. At the beginning, we kind of uncover what's happening, But that's not the end of the project or the process. We need to address these kind of problems, inefficiencies, and basically leveraging entire Power Platform and many other tools in order to get better and be more efficient. That would be it. And the question is like, okay, this is the methodology. Sounds pretty straightforward. Of course, there are many details, but how it look like from the technology perspective, or what's the recommended architecture? Of course, this is not the only way how you can do it, but it is strongly recommended. So we have like 4 main elements in here. First, we have source systems. It could be SAP, Salesforce, Oracle, ServiceNow, Dynamics, or any other system that you have. It could be standard or heavily customized or just customized system. And key piece of information for this part, or strong recommendation from the experience which we are seeing, is to create this like middle layer, the light blue rectangle, which is called process warehouse. What we are doing in this process warehouse is to kind of copying or bringing the data into the staging tables. And then, of course, we clean the data, doing the ETL, extract, transform, and load, and put them into the shape that process mining software is able to read them. And this shape is called event log. Many of you are already familiar. As of now, Power Automate process mining, with Power Automate process mining, we are able to insert data in one table approach as of February 2025. So we need to put it into Excel-like table. And this table is loaded into Power Automate process mining software, and then where we can do the analysis. Once the analysis is done, or actually it's iterative process, we also create dashboards. In most of the cases, the end users are interested in seeing the dashboards, seeing the numbers, what already happened, and not only what happened, but why something happened, because this is the added value of process mining, to understand why some things are happening. And then, of course, see the trends and have a continuous monitoring on the process performance, optimization, and all the other things, automation, and so on and so on and so forth. There are, of course, some other ways how to do it, but based on our experience, it always makes sense to copy the data from source systems and create the event log in this process warehouse, and do not connect to data directly into the source systems, for example, SAP, especially for larger projects. Yes, you are creating additional data in your Fabric or Azure, but this ensures greater flexibility and you will be able to more easily solve any kind of potential issues that will appear. This is for the architecture. So the Power Automate process mining solution consists of 3 main elements. First one would be the ETL. Get the data, transfer them, and load them. We can leverage Azure and Fabric. We will not go through the details for this one. Second one is analysis, and the third one is BI. We can see it as a Swiss Army knife, where we are having different kind of tools that are specialized in doing different kind of things, but together, if they are used right, they can generate value. So different elements, different kind of tools, achieving one goal. And this is basically also the connection to the first slide. Sometimes it can get tricky or messy, or we are not sure where we are going with this specific path. Then make a break and rethink, okay, what is my direction? I need to go through, let's say, these kind of tools. It all works together towards achieving one common goal. All right. Right now, we will spend some time, a little bit more time, on the particular phases of the DMIC circle or the DMIC methodology, specifically for process mining. So what we do, what we have to do in the define phase. Typically, we use a project charter, which we need to complete it. Your company might already have some kind of template which you are using, and you can fill that one. Most of the information is already there. But on top of this one, it is also recommended to use a thing called process mining canvas. If you don't know what it is, just Google it. There are several examples. All of them are quite good. and you will have a really good understanding of what kind of information needs to be defined at the beginning of each project. Often, this one or this defined phase is, I don't want to say neglected, but if you spend less time on the definition, you will have harder time down the road, down the path, because, for example, you can define specific KPI and you will start with, for example, 10 or 15 KPIs. But if you will not define how we're going to calculate these KPIs, it can happen that you will not have the data in order to calculate these KPIs. So that's one of the recommendations when stating particular KPI. Include also the definition of the KPI, how it will be calculated, because this would be the input information into the next phase, which is measure phase, so that you will make sure that this kind of data will be available in the event log. Some technical tips or practical tips for this phase: use service accounts. When working with the data, when loading the data somewhere, work with service accounts. It is strongly recommended practice. You will avoid many potential issues in case somebody is sick for a longer period of time. There might be various kind of limitations. With service accounts, you will be able to easily manage all these kind of data imports, schedule data refresh settings on all these kind of things. Next one, another tip would be for the entire Power Automate process mining approach of the analysis. There are two main ways how it could be done. The analysis could be done in the desktop or on a server. And each of these are having certain pros and cons. For example, in the desktop, it might be faster if you have performant laptop, but you are creating an additional copy of your data. And sometimes, especially if your process contains some sensitive data, you don't want to do this. So you prefer to do it on the server, the analysis to do on the server. And basically, if you go in this way, it means you need to ensure that you have enough, let's say, capacity on the server. And the third tip, which is also often forgotten, which is define the way how you will develop your Power BI dashboard when multiple users are developing them. It may sound trivial, but we have seen it in our practice with our customers that if we have several users developing these dashboards, it can happen that one user does something, another user does something, the user A publishes it, and the user B, unknowingly that they are working simultaneously, publishes it a couple hours later, so he's rewriting the work of previous user, and these kind of things would happen. So for the define phase, couple takeaways: work with service accounts, define whether you want to do the analysis in the desktop or on a server, and then clearly define the way how you will be developing the dashboards in case, and it is very likely that multiple users are developing this. Moving on into the measure phase. This is a lot of about like data engineering topic. It would be not the scope of this presentation, so we go very quickly. We extract the data, ideally load them into the staging tables and create the event log. Right? Strongly recommended to use Fabric OneLake. And couple tips for the transformation phase. Even though when you are working with small event log, agree on the naming convention. This kind of agreement needs to come from the define phase. So you agree what are the activity names that you will be having in your process model, and also what kind of attributes are needed. And for this kind of attributes, a little recommendation would be for all of the case level attributes, start with C underscore and then the name of the attribute. And these are the two tips which I give you for the naming convention. And also, once the event log is created, or the very last step before it's done, it is strongly recommended to have some kind of post-processing script that will review whether our event log is in good shape. So let's say starting with the data validation, especially for the timestamps. If you have larger event logs, there are a couple key columns, and one of them is timestamp. So check whether either your start or end timestamp contains the values where it should be, or where you are missing the value, that you have your dummy value. Otherwise, the system will put dummy value automatically, which is, I think, January 1st, year of 0001. But it's better and could be more beneficial if we insert our own dummy value where we need it. And second recommendation here would be sequence order. What does it mean? In case two activities are performed in the same time or are having the same kind of timestamp, it makes sense to tell the system what would be the sequence of these activities. So create additional column when you will have sequencing, and you will create numbers that would be in the logical order how these activities should be executed. And the last step of this measure phase is basically load the data from one lake into Power Automate process mining for the analysis. All right, now we are starting the analyze phase. This is what is done in the Power Automate process mining. We know it consists of two elements. One of them is the online environment, Power Automate Online, and second one is Power Automate process mining desktop. We do the initial data load and import in the online environment, but the real valuable analysis it's currently happening in the desktop. And in a couple seconds, we will jump into the tool, and I will share with you some of the best practices and some tips how you can start with the analysis. Basically, it is covered in these kind of points. First, start with the validation of the data, validation of the process logic, and so on. Next logical step would be create the understanding of what is complete case. It means that we will immediately create the logic for differentiating between strategic and operational pathways. It means that in case I want to optimize my process, I am not interested in having in my data set or in my process the cases that are still running because they will blur my analysis, they will blur my numbers. And also the other way around. In case I want to have some operational controlling, maybe create some data alerts, notifications, or whatever is needed, I am not interested in the data where the process is already done, where I completed the case and it's done. I am looking for the operational data. So I'm looking for the cases that are live. And we will see how this is done efficiently, because it can happen that we will easily end up with 30 to 40 views or maybe more. And we don't want to change it 30 times in case there is some logic or logic change or improvement. And this will be one of the exercises. And then, of course, here, what we are trying to do is addressing the improvements from the define phase. And some of the key features are process map metrics and options that are available, root cause analysis, and custom metrics. Of course, there are many more, but we will, for the beginning and how to start efficiently, we will need those. Right now, I am in the Power Automate Process Mining desktop application. This is the process map. We see on the left-hand side, we have the modules. On the right-hand side, we have the, let's say, process map options, what we want to see. The process which is in front of me is order to cache. This is the standard process that is provided by Microsoft. So you have it available as well. If you log in into, actually, I will show you. If you log in into the Power Automate, you go into the process mining. I'm already in the process, but there are some default processes. This one is supply chain order to cache. So if you click on this option, you will have pretty much the same data set. I think I did just very little minor changes. So let's say we have imported the data into the process mining software, and the first phase is the data validation. Strong recommendation, do not jump into uncovering the problems right away, into solutioning, into notifying, okay, I see there is a problem here or there. Spend at least half an hour, maybe 1 hour for more complex processes in exploring what is the process about, what is the sequence of activities, what are the options. If you find something interesting, take a notepad or Word document, just write a little remark, little note, that because you find it super interesting, but strongly recommended, do not jump directly into these improvements. It can happen, or it will be useful, especially for more complex processes. This one is relatively simple, pretty standard. When you will be working with processes that you are not familiar with, spend half an hour to 1 hour of just clicking on the activities. One of the recommendation is work with mining attribute. Based on the attributes that you have in your event log, you can, for example, switch between, right now I have activity name, so sequence of activities, we go into the department. So I see the sequence of departments, and so on and so forth. There could be more. It depends on what I have defined in the define phase and what is available in the event log. Then, of course, many other perspective. I can work through all these kind of things, seeing it from the perspective of time, from the perspective of counts. I am able to immediately see, for example, rework, and I'm trying to understand, like, okay, where is the problem? I see already some problematic areas with this halo effect. Just spend some time understanding the process. What could be super helpful is also the statistics. I will have it from the, for example, case overview, some statistical information. So I need to first, me as an analyst, make my mind around what is the process about. I immediately see, okay, 17 activities, 6 people doing them. I have around 200 cases, and so on and so forth. Then, for example, I want to see what kind of brands are here, right? So I'm able to read this. The another important piece of information or good tip is the desktop application. The aim of desktop application is not to do the BI or the dashboarding. These pieces of information are here mainly for the analysts to help them or people like me to do the analysis in a more efficient way, in a better way. And I will do the dashboarding in the Power BI. This is one of the unique strengths of the entire solution because it consists of several elements, and we are combining the strengths of all of these elements, of each of these elements basically. Next one is variance. So this will give me the understanding, okay, what's happening, what was sequence of activities. If I want to see it, I go through the cases table. This is basically my event log or a little portion of the event log for the particular case, and so on and so forth. So for the tool, the strong recommendation, spend at least half an hour for any process exploring what is it about, what are the relationships, how many people are doing it, and so on and so forth. Basically play through all of the visualization options, visit statistics, variants, and so on. Familiarize yourself with the process, because the next logical next step and strong recommendation would be to kind of prepare the path and split the path towards strategical approach and operational approach. And we do this by defining complete cases. And how to do it? There are several ways, or another piece of information. Anything what you would like to achieve in your process mining practices, it's possible to be achieved by several ways, or most of the goals you're trying to achieve, there are several paths towards it. And all of them, it's not always possible to say that, okay, this is clearly the way how we should do it, because all of it might be having some pros and cons, yet there are some strong recommendations. And right now, this is exactly the case, like strong recommendation how to make this kind of differentiation between complete cases and incomplete cases. Go into this case categorization. So, excuse me, on the top right corner, we have this process context, in case you might not have seen my mouse. So click on the process context, go into the case categorization, go into advanced mode, and add the end events filter. So what this filter does, it will give me, for example, right now I'm filtering it based on the activity name, and I want to understand which cases are completed. So I see the starting activity is only confirm order, so I click on it. And next one, and on the finishing event of this event case, I see in my current version of the event log, 4 activities are marked in the data as the last event of the case. It doesn't mean that it is right. It tells me these are the data. Based on my business understanding of the process or what should be done, I see, okay, there should be some other steps after this activity, and what is the logic or logic of finish of my process is mark order as complete. And for now, I see that it would be only this activity. And here on the bottom left, I see it covers 96% of the cases and 97% of events. Okay, I'm satisfied because this represents really like my data set means a lot of cases are already complete from the logic which I have defined. It can happen, and it will happen, that when you will go further down with your analysis, this logic might change. You will add some activities, and it will make sense to include these activities as well. You will be able to easily add this activity here or there, and you will see how the numbers are changing. Okay, right now we have 98% of the events, right? And you will be able to do it easily for all of the other analysis that you have done as well. So I click on Save. Right now, I have defined my case categorization. So I see that the finished cases, I have 96% is finished, 4% is running. For now, let's say it's okay. So I click Save, and I would be able to use it in my analysis. Okay, it takes a little bit of time, and strong recommendation how this could be done, or the best practice how this would be used, is via custom metric. Because what I will do, I want to filter cases that are complete and cases that are incomplete. So again, I will go into process context. Then I will go into custom metrics, and I will create a new custom metric. Normally this is, or usually this is the first custom metric that is being created, and let's call it complete cases. What I will do here, I know the operator, so is finished. It's Boolean value. I'm creating this custom metric on a case level, so it will tell me whether the case is completed, yes or no, or is finished, yes or no. I click on Save, Save. And right now, I have the custom metric available. So typical next step in this process is that I go into the filter, and I add a filter. It is on a case level filter. Because I created custom metric, I go into the metrics, and I want to include the cases on a case level, case metric. And I have many of them that are available by default by the system. And I have just defined my complete cases custom metric equal to true. I could say apply, but another recommendation when you work with filters, there are many of them, always, always, always change the filter name. Why? You will end up with having dozens of views in your analysis, and in some view there could be easily 3, 5, 10 filters applied, or active, inactive, and so on. If you will have just matrix or attribute name or something in the filter, you will not know what it is, and you will always have to see what is behind. But if you will insert the name, I will know right away that, okay, so this is complete cases. If I turn the filter off or deactivate it, I'm having 100% of the cases, 100% of the events. I'd see that at the bottom of my screen. If I turn the toggle on, I see 96% cases, 97% of the events. Okay, it's the same what I have seen previously. So I click on apply. What I will do right now is that I will save the view as. I want to make it as a public view, and I will rename it, for example, complete cases. Save. Right now in my analysis, I have two views, but I want to make right away also the difference. So I go complete cases include, I can say does not include. So I'm having 4% of the cases, 3% of the events. And right now I have the incomplete cases. I will save as 0002 incomplete cases. And I will save it. What does it mean, this private view or public view? If I have this toggle on, I'm creating this as a private view, so only me as an analyst who did it, I will be able to see that there is some kind of view. If I will make it as a public view, also my colleagues who are working on this project will be able to see it as well. And also, in case I did some findings, I basically filter the data, I shrink the data set for that particular view. This information will be sent to Power BI only when I have public view. So in case you want to send some data or some logic on data in Power BI, because the data will be there, you just need to apply like this kind of logic. For example, right now I filtered 4% of the cases. If I make it as a public view, I will be able to see in Power BI that, okay, my view called 002 incomplete cases is there, and I will be able to reference to the logic that is already being applied in the Power Automate Process Mining desktop application. All right, view is saved. I can go up into the processes. And what I see here is basically three views. First one is the default view, the one that was created automatically by the system with the initial data load. And then there are these view complete cases and incomplete cases. Another strong recommendation, always include some kind of numbers. And for example, when you are defining these KPIs during the define phase, you will see later on here as well, apply some kind of structure to it. For example, group certain KPIs into the category 100, another group of KPIs into the category of 200. And this way, you will be able to start with your KPI from category 1 as a view 110. And then you will be able to create logic in a very good way, and will be efficient. Like your orientation in the tool will be efficient in case you want to see some changes for the particular KPI, or you need to do some changes, and you will be able to easily navigate through the tool. What is really common practice is that for larger implementations, we can have 60 plus views, or 60 plus views, or so-called stages of the analysis in our tool. And it will be really a problem if we don't have proper naming convention, including also the way how we provide the numbers to it. And there is one more interesting functionality which I want to show you. When we are starting with something, normally in the statistics, we go into this case overview. This is the first value in the column. But there is also the second one, which is case influence. And this could be also part of your initial walkthrough, or just having the understanding in case I go into the complete cases view. So let's go into the complete cases view. I go into the statistics. I go from case overview into case influence. Excuse me. Takes a little bit time. Misclick. So when I'm in this case influence, what I have available out of the box without any analysis, it already tells me something. It is very valuable information. So for the metric of my selection, in this case, it is the case duration. I immediately see the percentage from my current data set. So for the complete cases, what is having, in this case, red is negative. So negative value on case duration. So from the attribute name model, the value Versa is increasing my overall case duration by 34.46%. The other way around, the most positive influence on the case duration is having the brand Turbo. And based on the attributes which are available in my data model, I have it automatically displayed and calculated here without doing any analysis. I'm not trying to say that this is the analysis and it's done. I'm trying to say this is very valuable guide which already gives you some valuable information, but in most of the cases, you need to go deeper. This would be for the case influencers. And if I want to go deeper in case, for example, I want to define my own KPIs and understand why some behavior is there and what kind of things I need to address and see. For that, we are using the module, another one, which is root cause analysis or RCA. How it works, I will walk you through very quickly. If I'm in the settings, I'm selecting right now metrics which I want to see, or I can select my custom metrics KPIs that I have defined, case level custom metrics. Right now, let's go with the most simple and really intuitive example, which is case duration. So I want to see from the available attributes that I have in my event log, what or which are having the greatest influence on case duration, right? You can specify what is very often used is specify particular sequence, like between activity B to activity D. I want to understand why it takes so long, or I have late payments, late deliveries, why I have late payments, why I have late deliveries, why I have any other behavior which I'm able to identify with custom metrics. So I will select, for example, delivery method, model, and brand, of course. These are the three that make sense. Right now, the machine learning model, okay, that was quite fast, calculated the probabilities of what is having the influence on my or what is the statistically most significant value for influencing my duration. I see lowest value is 1 hour something, greatest value is 9 days, and quite clearly the probability with 100%, if I have these two brands for turbo and month, the average value is 22 hours. But if I have the brand cruiser, the average value is 5 days duration. So it would make sense if I would continue with my analysis with deeper, if I want to address the topic that I want to get faster, what's happening mainly with the cruiser. This was very simple example, simplified case. And of course, there is way more behind. We can peel another layer from the onion and go deeper and deeper and play around with it. And this is the way how we start basically. We have covered some of the best practices or tips and tricks for the Power Automate process mining analysis itself. There is way more behind. This is just the beginning of the entire analysis. When jumping into Power Automate process mining, I will recap, go into the validation phase, validate the data, validate the sequence of activities with the variant DNA, whether it makes sense. Then create your case categorization for complete cases and incomplete cases, and then start playing around with the data, start addressing your KPIs as it goes, basically one after the other. There are way more features, but in this part we have covered mainly the options available in the process map. We have slightly touched the custom metrics and also root cause analysis. But this is not the end of the circle, of the DMake circle. What we need to address, or what's the typical next step, is that we need to focus on, or the real value is not just uncovering the problems or the inefficiencies and displaying them in the Power BI dashboard. The real value is addressing them and solving them and making sure that we have the proper visibility on this kind of problem or this kind of behavior, and we actively monitor it, and we jump into this continuous improvement phase or circle that we always do some kind of iterations, and we move on with basically the entire Microsoft ecosystem and many other tools that are possible. What I wanted to say at this stage, when doing the analysis, we always do the dashboarding in the Power BI. Right now, I'm in the Power Automate process mining, and if I click on View Report, so what happens? I see some kind of report. This is not the Power BI. I mean, yes, this is Power BI. It is embedded report from Power BI. We see some kind of information that is published here, and we are able to click through and understand and play around, right? But the real value is done in the Power BI, the connection to Power BI. I haven't connected this process to Power BI yet. It can happen either during the initial data import or the data load, or you can define it here in the main tile of your process, where you can select your Power BI workspace and then create a report accordingly, probably after the name of your process. And of course, here, next important thing is that you are able to do this kind of refresh settings, whether you want to have it refreshed weekly, daily, or whatever your requirement is. And these kind of things are main process management you do here in the Power Automate online part. Briefly, that was it for the improvements and control. Of course, there is way more. I do not want to touch these kind of things because it would be a big topic. As you have experienced, if not, you have probably seen it now. Process mining is not a kind of silver bullet that will solve all of your problems like a magic wand that you will use it and voila, it's done. There is a lot of work behind. Um, we are leveraging the Lean Six Sigma principles, mainly the make methodology. These methodologies are proven that they work for decades. And what we are doing is we are combining this kind of methodology with advanced IT, and this is what makes the difference. And right now, I would say these days it gets even more exciting. We can talk a lot about AI agents and all these kind of things. It would be for a different session. To conclude, more or less, doing process mining is not easy. Principles are easy, but it can get complicated, and I assure you it will. There will be a lot of surprises. There is a lot beneath the hood. You can have a lot of fun with all of the possible ways how it can get complicated, messy, but also rewarding and impactful if done right. And one last piece of information which I ask you is please do not trust me on everything what I said. I don't want to say that I'm sharing wrong information with you, but challenge me. We know that these days we live in a world that is going to look very differently in a couple of years. Technology is reshaping everything. So please feel free to question everything, and please do question pretty much everything that you see here. Maybe there are better ways how to do things. Maybe there are different and more efficient ways how to approach it. If so, please do it ideally on this Power Platform Community Forum. The link is on the right-hand side. In case you want to address some questions, maybe privately, there is the link to my LinkedIn account. So I'm concluding with this one, giving
Awesome.
word back to Arash.
Oh, thank you so much. Interesting. So I was thinking about something around the process mining. One thing was that I think that we need, beside the Power Automate developer that we have in our organization, I think we need someone to analyze, this kind of data and the process that we run in the companies, in the organization, because just we try to develop flows, and automate everything, but we need to process these flows and find, the bottleneck, the issue, and also make a plan, for the improvement, something like that. So I think the process mining here is amazing tools, and it has a lot configuration and settings and feature that I saw here. I remember that we had another session with another speakers, but it was not deep like today's session that you conducted. So yeah, it was interesting, and I learned something new today from you. But I think a lot of things here, and we need to spend some times, to browse all the feature, to learn something. I saw that it was another a new preview feature. It was the process simulation, right? What's that?
Yeah. So first, thank you for calling this out. If I may address first question, like You're exactly spot on with the automation. That's why it's also
Right.
integrated into the Power Automate,
Right.
because it absolutely makes sense first to understand the process, understand what's happening in there,
Mm-hmm.
eliminate the inefficiencies, and only then
Right.
automate what makes sense. And if this is integrated, there are synergies around.
Right.
You told me about simulations. Actually, I can basically walk you through. It's available like on the. Okay, I'm not sure if I'm sharing. Not if
Mm,
I may start sharing the screen. I will show you right away.
okay.
So we can do a little, okay, very little demonstration. It's available here in the process map on the left-hand side panel where we have a different, where you have different like modules. We can go
Mm-hmm.
into process simulation. The way how it work right now, it's still in preview, but we start adding a new simulation. The best practice here is first start with calibrating your machine learning model. So try to simulate the current situation as it is.
Mm-hmm.
Try to play with the toggles and basically get the simulated model as close as possible to your existing one.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Name it, I don't know, simulation or calibration one. I don't want to do any changes. I want to have the things the way they are. I don't want to do any kind of changes in terms of activities, users, or anything. So have it there, have the users there. Do not assign any new resources or anything. Click to simulate. We see that estimation simulation duration is less than 2 minutes. So what it does when I click this one, it kind of triggers the calculating process that it's simulating the current stage.
Mm-hmm.
Important detail, which I kind of forgot. Right now we are in the complete cases. It's
Mm-hmm.
I want to emphasize it. Always check in which view you are, because it doesn't make sense to simulate active cases, for example, because there are so many changes. Always
Mm-hmm.
simulate your complete cases. So I see queued for start. So it's basically triggered the
Mm-hmm.
simulation. I hope in couple seconds it will appear and I can walk you through the results of the
Mm-hmm.
simulation. The main aim of the simulation is address a thing called bottleneck shift.
Mm-hmm.
Because what happens in case we have a process, we identify what's the problem. For example, we want to address one of the problems and
Right.
we want to for example, automate one of the activities. And what
Okay.
is often happening, like when we activate, when we activate this kind of change and we automate the activity, we are causing the problems to some other guys that are behind me in the process execution. And in
Mm-hmm.
this way, with these two, I will be able to see it right away with certain statistical precision that okay, if I automate this activity, am I causing problems to someone? So
Mm-hmm.
right now, I want to dive into the results
Mm-hmm.
and I will see some statistical
Right.
information. Simulated this original process. If I'm satisfied with this, okay, -5%, this is perfectly fine because it tells me this one is pretty similar to what I have. It's very simple process, just few cases, 190. If I have couple millions, it's more fun.
Mm-hmm.
And let's say I'm satisfied right now with this initial calibration. Next logical step would be kind of create new simulation, start doing the changes, change the users, add some bots
Mm-hmm.
or automated users, and then click on resimulate and go on and so on. So the first step, how to start
Yeah.
calibrate the current situation, and then once let's say I'm satisfied because there is no difference here, no difference here, just 5% here, that's perfectly fine. So I can go into the settings or activities and I can start doing the changes which I want to conduct. And I want to see
Mm-hmm.
what's the impact that these changes will have with certain statistical precision. And of course,
Mm-hmm.
these are the details on activities, right? Then resources and some KPIs, right? So if there are any changes, these
Mm-hmm.
are the basic piece of information that are
Right.
available right away.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for quick
Yep.
review of this feature as well. Yeah, all good. Thank you so much. I'm not saying that any one asked question in the comment box. So thank you so much, Lucas. One more question, and the last one is around the licensing. So how about the license, the process mining? It's part of the Power Automate plan, or we need to get a premium license for users to work with the process mining? What's the uh, license plan here for the process mining?
Yeah, 1 second. I will show you on the official Microsoft webpage, so it will be
Okay.
more logical to find it. It's loading right now.
Mhm.
So Power Automate process
It-
mining is
It's a
add-on.
fixed price, or it's a pay as you go, something
Uh,
like that.
no, I will show you.
Okay.
Power Automate process mining is add-on to Power Automate. So it's
Okay.
something that needs to be purchased on top. But in case you have the Power Automate premium license, per user you get like I think 50 megabytes of process mining data. Yeah, here it is. Process mining data. So in case in
Mm-hmm.
your organization for your tenant, let's say you have 10 users of Power Automate process mining premium with this kind of license, 10 users, so you are having 500 megabytes of data you can use for process mining. But this really just for the initial kind of walkthrough, very small kind of
Mm-hmm.
play around, get your hands on it, and have some experience.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to do this process mining, where are the add-ons? That should be somewhere down here. Um, excuse me. Okay, related products and add-ons. Sorry. If you want to really do the process mining, you need to do Power Automate process mining add-on, where the list price is $5,000 per month.
Mm-hmm.
And there you have 100 gigabytes of data. Of course, for larger organizations, in case you need more, which is often the case, you need to buy
Mm-hmm.
several packages. This is just for Power Automate. As
Right.
we have seen, it connects to Power BI as well, where you
Right.
need to have Power BI Premium. It doesn't matter
Mm-hmm.
whether it's per user or per tenant, or how is it called, but you need to have
Mm-hmm.
Power BI Premium. And also, as we have seen the flywheel, the previous like stages, we need to do the data manipulation, data engineering. It is
Mm-hmm.
strongly recommended to have Fabric, where I think the initial license is enough, or I'm not aware of any kind of requirements here. And you need to have the one lake capacity. I don't know precisely the wording. So based on how much you consume, you need to
Mm-hmm.
have purchased also this. So it's not like one-off license, but this is a structure of
Mm-hmm.
and this basically gives the strength of it, and it's very flexible, and you are combining the unique capabilities and strengths of each of these elements.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Well, thank
Sorry,
you.
sorry, I was having this in front of me. I
No, no,
forgot
no,
I'm
that's
not
okay.
presenting. So
No, no, all good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
good.
So one more things for our attendees, that's the next session that we have will be happen on this Wednesday, the next Wednesday, the February 5. So because to get more attendees for our session, so we plan that we have two different time in for our session. One is a Saturday morning in the PST time, or it will be evening in the CET, in the Central Europe. And the next time is a Wednesday, every Wednesday, or might be twice. And actually, uh, uh, one per week. So it should be on Wednesday at 12 p.m., the lunch time of the Europe time. So we make this to be flexible for our attendees to join us for our online session. So that's it from my end. So thank you so much, everyone, and thank you, Lucas, for joining us today. And I hope you have great weekend and see you soon in the future in other events. Thank
Thank
you.
you. See you around. Bye bye.
See you. Bye bye.